The night was silent, broken only by the sound of wind moving across a land of broken steel. Mountains of metal rose high, sharp edges shining under the weak light of the moon. Rusted machines, shattered drones, and twisted wires covered the ground. It was not a place for the living. It was a graveyard of forgotten creations. In the middle of this wasteland lay a girl. She was not fully human and she was not fully machine. Her face was young, pale, and tired. But her legs were nothing like the rest of her. They were metal, once shining silver, now rusted and broken. Sparks jumped from the wires whenever she tried to move. The junkyard owner had thrown her into the pile earlier that day, and to him she was nothing more than scrap. Her name was not known to anyone here. The junkyard owner simply called her the girl with the broken legs. To him, she had no value. He told the workers, take her apart tomorrow. Metal is metal. Human or not, it doesn't matter. And then he laughed, his fat hands rubbing together, already counting the coins he would earn. The girl's eyes opened slowly. She could hear the whispers of machines around her, the silent cries of robots and parts that once had purpose. She tried to lift herself, but her prosthetic legs groaned under the weight. They were heavy, rust eating through every joint. She collapsed back on the cold metal floor, breathing hard. She wondered how she had ended up here. Her memory was a fog, broken pieces floating inside her mind, faces she could not place, voices she could not remember clearly. She only knew one thing. She was unwanted. Hours passed. The junkyard was quiet except for the sound of rats crawling between scraps. Far away, the owner locked the main gate and went to his office, humming to himself. The girl stayed awake, staring at the sky. The stars above looked distant, unreachable. For a moment, her heart ached with something she did not understand. Freedom, hope, or maybe it was just the fear of being torn apart tomorrow. Her hands shook as she touched the cold ground. She whispered to herself, I am not junk. But even as she said it, doubt filled her chest. What if she really was nothing more than broken metal? A shadow moved. She froze. At first she thought it was another rat, or maybe a guard checking the piles. But this shadow was different. It was tall, standing like a human, watching her from the edge of the heap. Her heart raced. Who was it, a thief? A soldier? Or worse, someone who had come to make sure she would not survive until morning? The figure stepped closer. The girl tried to crawl back, but her legs failed her, scraping against the floor with a painful screech. Sparks flew again, and she winced. The shadow spoke. The voice was deep, calm, but carried weight. You should not be here. The girl's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to speak, but her voice was weak. Who are you? The man did not answer right away. He crouched near her, eyes scanning the rusted prosthetics. His gaze was not like the junkyard owner's, it was not greedy. It was sharp, searching, as if he knew something she did not. You've been thrown away, he said softly. But not everything that is thrown away is useless. The girl blinked. No one had ever said words like that to her. The man stood up again, pulling out a small light. Its glow fell across his face. He was human, dressed in a worn coat, his hair messy from the wind. He looked ordinary, yet there was something strange about him, something that made her uneasy. She whispered, Why are you here? He gave no answer. Instead, he turned his eyes toward the office where the junkyard owner slept. Then he looked back at her. I came for you. Her chest tightened. She didn't understand. Why would anyone come for her? She was broken. She was nothing. The man leaned closer, lowering his voice. Tomorrow they will cut you apart for metal. But I will not let that happen. Her mind spun. Was this a trick? Was he lying? She wanted to ask more, but before she could, the man lifted her gently as if she weighed nothing. His arms were strong, steady. The girl tried to protest, but her voice was gone. She was too weak. Her head rested against his shoulder, and her last thought before sleep pulled her under was a question. Why would a human save me? The junkyard gates creaked open. The man carried her into the night, leaving the world of broken machines behind. But in the distance, hidden eyes watched them go. Someone else had seen, and for the girl with the rusted legs, her story was only just beginning. The junkyard owner woke early, his pockets already heavy with dreams of coin. He walked across the field of metal, coughing from the smell of rust and smoke. His eyes searched for the girl with the broken legs. She was gone. His face turned red with anger. He shouted at his workers, "Find her!" She was to be dismantled today. That metal is worth something, but none of them had seen her. To them, she was nothing but scrap. If she had vanished, maybe rats had dragged her deeper into the piles. Or maybe some thief had sneaked in during the night. The owner grumbled, his fist tight. No matter. A broken thing has no future. Far away, the girl woke in a small, dimly lit room. The smell of oil and burning wires filled her nose. For a moment, fear struck her heart. She thought she had already been taken apart. But when her eyes adjusted, she saw she was lying on a clean metal bed. A light bulb swung above her, flickering softly. The man from the junkyard stood near a table, turning a strange device in his hands. His coat hung loose on his shoulders, and the scars on his face showed he had lived through many battles. "You're awake," he said without turning. The girl tried to sit up, but her legs groaned loudly. Sparks jumped again, and pain shot through her body. She gasped. "Don't," the man warned, walking toward her. He pressed a button on the device, and the sparks on her legs faded. "If you push them too hard, they will break completely." The girl looked at him with wide eyes. "Why did you take me?" Her voice trembled. "Why would you carry broken metal from a junkyard?" The man's expression was unreadable. He leaned against the wall, folding his arms. "Because you are not broken metal." Her heart skipped. "Then what am I?" For the first time, the man's eyes softened. "You are something they fear. And that makes you valuable." The girl's mind spun. She tried to remember her past, but all she found was emptiness. A few shadows. A few screams. But nothing clear. "Fear," she whispered. "Who fears me? I am weak. I cannot even stand." The man shook his head. "That is what they want you to believe. That is why they threw you away. But I know better." He stepped closer, his eyes sharp now, burning with something hidden. "You are not scrap. You are a soldier. A weapon." Her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to laugh, but she could not. "Soldier? Weapon? Her?" She looked down at her rusted legs and broken joints. "No, that could not be true." "You are lying," she said softly. The man smiled faintly. "If I was lying, why would I buy you back?" Her eyes widened. "Bite me back?" "Yes," he said. "I paid the junkyard owner. More than you were worth." He thought I was a fool. But I'm no fool. Her chest grew tight. "Bought like an object? Like scrap?" The thought made her stomach twist. The man seemed to notice her pain. "Listen carefully," he said in a low voice. "You were taken once before, stolen, erased. They erased your memories so you would not remember who you are. They thought no one would find you again, but I did." The girl's lips parted, but no words came. She stared at him, trying to see truth in his eyes. "I know your name," he whispered. Her whole body froze. She had lived so long without a name. To hear that word from his mouth, name, was like fire through her chest. What is it?" she asked, her voice shaking. The man leaned closer, his breath warm. His lips formed the beginning of a word, but before he could finish, a sound echoed outside. A sharp metallic noise. The girl's head snapped toward the door. Heavy boots. Dozens of them, soldiers. The man's jaw tightened. "They found us." Her heart raced. Fear filled her lungs. She could hear the orders outside. The clank of weapons. They were not thieves. They were organized. They had come for her. The man rushed to the table, grabbing a small black case. He threw a cloak over her rusted legs. "Do not move. Do not speak." The door burst open. 4 soldiers entered, rifles raised. Their armor glowed with red lights. "By order of the authority," one shouted, "hand over the asset." The man stepped in front of her. "She is not your asset," he said coldly. The soldiers aimed higher. One growled, "Step aside, civilian, or be destroyed." The man's hand moved fast. A hidden weapon slid from his sleeve. "You will not take her." The girl's eyes widened. She could not move, but she could feel it. Something inside her stirring. A strange heat in her chest. A pulse of energy moving through her broken wires. The soldiers stepped forward. The man raised his weapon. Tension filled the room like thunder before a storm. And in that silent second before the first shot, the girl felt it. A memory flickered back. A battlefield. Fire in the sky, and her own voice shouting a name that was hers. The screen of her mind went black again. But her heart whispered, "He is telling the truth." The soldiers stood at the doorway, their red lights glowing like angry eyes. Guns pointed. Voices sharp. The girl could feel her body shaking. Her rusted legs heavy as stone. She wanted to disappear, but inside her chest something new had begun to stir. a strange heat like a heartbeat of fire. The man did not move. He stood tall, his coat hanging loose, his weapon steady. "She is not yours," he said again. His voice was calm, but underneath it was steel. The lead soldier raised his hand. "The asset must return to authority property." "Step aside, human. You do not know what you carry," the girl's breath caught. "Asset." That word again. She hated it. It made her feel small, like an object. But deep down a small voice whispered, "They are right. I was their property once." The soldiers advanced. The man's weapon flashed, a sudden blast of blue light filling the room. One soldier fell hard, armor sparking. Chaos erupted. The other three fired, bullets tearing through walls, through metal, through the air. The girl screamed as sparks rained over her. She tried to crawl back, but her legs dragged uselessly. The cloak covering her prosthetics caught fire. Smoke stung her eyes. The man shouted, "Move!" and fired again. Another soldier dropped. He spun, striking the third across the helmet, knocking him down. But the last one was fast. His gun aimed straight at the girl. Time slowed. She saw the red barrel. She felt her chest burning. Something inside her snapped awake. Her body moved without thought. Her broken legs roared with power, the rusted joints glowing bright as if fire lived within them. In a single impossible motion, she leapt forward, knocking the soldier across the room. The man froze, shock in his eyes. The girl landed hard, her legs shaking, sparks flying, but she was still standing. The last soldier coughed, his helmet broken. He whispered, "She's awake. The weapon is awake." Before falling unconscious, silence filled the room. Smoke curled toward the ceiling. The girl looked down at her legs, glowing faintly now, alive in a way they had never been before. Her chest rose and fell fast. What just happened to me?" she whispered. The man lowered his weapon, staring at her with something between awe and fear. "You remembered?" She shook her head. "No, I don't remember anything. I just moved." "You remembered what your body was built to do," he said firmly. He walked closer, his eyes locked on hers. "They called you an asset, a weapon. But you were more than that. You were a soldier. You fought in the war." The girl's hands trembled. "War, soldier?" The words felt heavy, sharp, dangerous. Her mind swirled. And then flashes. Bright lights. Burning cities. The sound of explosions tearing through the sky. A battlefield full of machines and humans fighting side by side. She saw her own reflection in shattered glass. Her younger self with the same face but stronger legs, glowing and new. She was running. She was fighting. She was killing. Her breath came fast, tears sliding down her cheeks. No, that can't be me. I can't be that." The man's voice was calm but deep. "It is you. They erased your memories because you were too dangerous. They thought if you forgot, you would never rise again. That is why they threw you away." The girl's heart felt heavy, her chest tight. Dangerous? Too dangerous to be allowed to live? Was that why she had been abandoned? She looked at the fallen soldiers, their armor cracked. She had knocked one across the room without thinking. Was that strength hers all along? Her voice was small. "What is my name?" The man hesitated. His eyes softened. "Your name is Kayla." The sound of it broke through her heart like sunlight in darkness. Kayla. A name. Her name. She whispered it, her lips trembling. Kayla. Tears burned her eyes. For the first time she felt human. Not scrap. Not asset. A person. But the moment did not last. Outside more boots echoed. Dozens this time. Soldiers filled the night. Red lights flashed through the windows. The man grabbed her arm. "We must leave. If they take you now, you will never be free." Kayla looked at him, fear and doubt fighting inside her. Could she trust him? He had saved her, but he also seemed to know too much. Why did he really want her? Still, she nodded. She had no choice. They escaped through the back into the darkness of the streets. The city rose ahead, tall towers glowing like fire in the distance. Alarms screamed in the night. The hunters were coming. As Kayla stumbled forward, her rusted legs groaning, one thought haunted her. If I was built to be a weapon, then who am I now? And somewhere, deep in her mind, a new whisper rose. You are not scrap. You are Kayla, but soon you must choose what kind of weapon you will be. The night city was alive with noise. Alarms screamed in the distance, red lights flashing like angry eyes. Soldiers shouted orders as their boots shook the ground. Kayla and the man ran through the dark alleys, slipping between walls of rust and broken neon signs. Her rusted legs screeched with every step, sparks falling behind her like dying stars. She stumbled, almost collapsing. The man caught her arm and pulled her forward. "Stay with me," he said firmly. His voice was calm, but his eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Kayla's chest burned. Each step was heavy, but something inside her was alive now. Something she could not explain. Her legs, broken for so long, moved faster than before. They were waking up piece by piece. Finally, they stopped inside an abandoned factory. The man closed the doors and pushed a heavy crate in front of them. The air smelled of smoke and oil. Faded posters clung to the walls, reminders of a time long gone. Kayla collapsed onto the floor, breathing hard. I can't keep running," the man crouched beside her. "You can, because you were built to survive." His words cut deep. She looked at him, anger and fear mixing in her chest. "Stop saying that. Stop calling me a weapon. I don't want to be a weapon." The man studied her for a long moment. Then quietly he said, "Then you must decide what you want to be." Kayla lowered her head. Her hands shook as she touched the rusted metal of her legs. She whispered almost to herself, "I just want to be human." The man's eyes softened, but he said nothing. Instead, he opened the black case he had carried with him. Inside were tools, wires, and glowing vials of blue liquid. He set them carefully on the floor. "What is that?" Kayla asked, her voice small. "Medicine for machines," he replied. "Nanites. They can repair what is broken, but only if your body accepts them." She frowned. "And if it doesn't?" His expression darkened. "Then they will destroy you." Kayla's heart raced. Fear twisted in her chest. She wanted to say no, but her legs were dying piece by piece. Without them, she was nothing. She looked at him, her voice trembling. "Do it," the man nodded once. He knelt by her legs and opened a small port hidden in the metal joints. She flinched as he slid the needle inside. The blue liquid entered her, glowing as it spread through the wires. At first, nothing happened. Then heat. A burning flood raced through her legs, up her spine, into her chest. She gasped, her body arching as sparks shot across the room. Her vision blurred. She saw fire. She saw battle. She saw herself standing tall, glowing like a storm, tearing through enemies with impossible speed. She screamed. The man held her shoulders down. "Stay with me, Kayla. Don't fight it." Her heart pounded like a drum. The rust on her legs began to peel away, falling like dust. New metal shone underneath, smooth and silver. The joints repaired themselves, wires stitching back together as if alive. When it was over, she collapsed, drenched in sweat. Her legs glowed faintly, no longer broken. She looked at them in disbelief. They work," the man's voice was steady. "They don't just work. They are stronger than before." Kayla's hands shook as she touched the new metal. Part of her wanted to smile. Part of her wanted to cry. She whispered, "What am I becoming?" The man's eyes were sharp. "You are becoming what you always were. Awake." That night, Kayla dreamed. She stood in the middle of a battlefield, smoke and fire all around. Soldiers shouted her name, Kayla, not in fear but in command. She was running faster than light, her legs glowing. She lifted her arm, and energy burst from her hand, tearing through machines twice her size. But in the dream, she also saw faces, human faces, some cheering her, some screaming, some dying because of her. She woke with tears in her eyes. The man was awake, sitting by the window, his weapon on his lap. He didn't look at her. His eyes scanned the street. She sat up slowly. Her legs moved smoothly now, no sparks, no pain. For the first time in years, she felt strong. But strength was frightening. She whispered to herself, "If I was made for war, can I ever be anything else?" The man spoke without turning. "War is coming for you, whether you want it or not." Kayla's heart sank. "Why me?" He turned then, his eyes cold and serious. "Because you are the only one who can stop it." Kayla's chest tightened. The city outside glowed like a beast waiting to swallow her whole. She didn't know if she was ready. She didn't even know if she wanted this. But deep inside, a voice whispered again, stronger now. "You are not scrap. You are Kayla, and you are awake." The city never slept. Towers of glass and steel burned with light, their reflections cutting across the night. Alarms still wailed far away, echoing through the streets. Kayla stood by the cracked window of the abandoned factory, her new legs glowing faintly under the moonlight. They were no longer rusted. They were alive, polished silver under her skin, pulsing with hidden energy. She flexed them, and the floor shook gently. Power hummed inside her, frightening and exciting all at once. The man, sitting on the floor cleaning his weapon, looked up at her. His eyes studied her carefully, as if measuring the danger she carried. "You can run now," he said. Kayla turned to him, her voice uncertain. "Run where?" "They'll keep coming." "They will," he agreed. "But running keeps you alive long enough to learn the truth." Before she could ask what truth, a sharp sound cut through the silence. Boots on the ground, dozens of them. Kayla froze. The man stood at once, weapon in hand. "They found us again." He pushed open the back door. The night air was cold, carrying the smell of smoke and oil. "Stay close," he told her. Kayla nodded, though fear twisted in her stomach. They darted into the alleys, shadows slipping between shadows. Kayla's legs carried her faster than she thought possible. The ground blurred beneath her feet. She felt light, free, but also hunted. Behind them, the streets filled with red lights. Drones buzzed overhead, their search beams cutting through the dark. Voices barked orders. "Secure the target!" "Do not let her escape." Kayla's chest tightened. She wanted to scream. They weren't even calling her by her name. She was still just the target. The man shouted, "This way!" and leapt over a barrier. Kayla followed, her legs propelling her high into the air. For a brief second, she flew. Her heart raced. She landed perfectly, the ground cracking under the force of her weight. Her eyes widened. She whispered, I can do this." But there was no time to marvel. Soldiers poured into the alley behind them. Gunfire cracked, sparks exploding from the walls. Kayla ducked, her body moving on instinct. Bullets tore past her head. The man returned fire, his weapon flashing blue. A soldier fell, another staggered back. But more kept coming. "Kayla, run!" he shouted. She hesitated. "I can't leave you." "You're not leaving me," he snapped. "You're saving yourself." Her legs trembled with power. She turned and sprinted faster than the bullets chasing her. The streets blurred. Neon lights streaked across her vision. Her heart pounded, half in terror, half in wonder. She burst into an open street. Cars lay abandoned, burned out from some old battle. Towers rose on either side, glowing red with authority symbols. And then she stopped, dead in her tracks. At the end of the street stood a massive drone, 3 times her size, hovering with a low, menacing hum. Its metal wings spread wide, guns mounted beneath them. Its red eye locked on her like a predator. Kayla froze. Fear paralyzed her body. The man appeared beside her, panting. His weapon hummed with energy. "It's a hunter drone," he said grimly. "Built to capture targets alive." The drone's speakers crackled. A cold voice filled the air. "Surrender the asset." Resistance is useless, Kayla clenched her fists. She hated the word, asset. She wanted to scream that she had a name, that she was Kayla. But her throat locked with fear. The man raised his weapon. "Run past it." "I'll distract it." Kayla's eyes widened. "You'll be killed." He gave her a hard look. "Better me than you." Before she could protest, the drone fired. Blinding beams of energy shot toward them. The man rolled aside, firing back. Kayla's instincts took over. She ran straight at the drone. Her legs surged with energy, stronger than ever. The ground cracked beneath her feet as she leapt, soaring high. The drone fired again, but she twisted mid-air, her body moving with impossible grace. She landed on its back, her hands gripping the cold metal. The machine shook violently, trying to throw her off. Kayla's eyes burned with sudden memory. Another battlefield, another drone, her younger self tearing through machines with the same speed and fury. Her voice ripped from her throat. "I am not your asset." Her fist slammed into the drone's eye. Sparks exploded. The machine screamed as if alive, crashing into the street. Flames roared as it shattered into pieces. Kayla fell hard but stood quickly, her new legs glowing bright. Smoke curled around her. Her chest rose and fell. For the first time, she did not feel weak. She felt unstoppable. The man stared at her, his eyes wide. "You're remembering more." Kayla shook her head, fear trembling inside her strength. "I don't want to remember. Every time I do, I see blood. I see fire." He stepped closer, gripping her shoulder. "That is who they made you. But it is not who you have to be." Her heart raced. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe she could choose. But far away, more drones filled the sky. More soldiers filled the streets. The chase was far from over. Kayla looked at the burning drone, then at the man. "If I keep running, where does it end?" His answer was low, grim. It ends when you stop running and start fighting. Kayla's chest tightened. Her legs glowed brighter, humming like thunder waiting to strike. Deep inside, she knew the chase was only the beginning. The night sky glowed red with smoke. Flames from the destroyed hunter drone still burned behind them, painting shadows across the ruined street. Kayla stood tall, her new legs humming, her chest heavy with fear and power. The man touched her shoulder firmly. "We can't stay here. More will come." Kayla nodded, though her mind spun. Every time she moved, every time she fought, pieces of memory returned. Faces she couldn't name. Voices calling her to battle. Blood and fire. They ran again, slipping into darker streets. The sounds of pursuit faded, though Kayla knew the authority would never stop. They would hunt her forever. Finally, they reached an underground tunnel. The man lit a small lamp and guided her through. Water dripped from the ceiling. Rats scurried across the ground. The walls were covered in old posters, propaganda from a war long past. Kayla studied one. A soldier stood tall, half human, half machine. Beneath it, bold words read, "For humanity's victory." She froze. The face was blurred by age, but she knew it. It was her heart twisted. "That's me," she whispered. The man stopped, turning to her. His eyes were unreadable. "Yes, you fought in the last war." "You were their strongest," Kayla's voice cracked. "I killed people?" He did not answer right away. His silence was heavy. Her knees trembled. She pressed her hands against the wall. Images flashed in her mind. Her fists breaking machines, soldiers falling, cities burning. She covered her face. "No, I don't want this. I don't want to remember." The man stepped closer. His voice was low, almost soft. "Kayla, the past doesn't decide who you are now, but you must face it." She looked at him through tears. "Why are you helping me? Why risk your life for someone like me?" For the first time, he looked away. His jaw tightened. "Because I know what they turned you into, because—" "I was there." Kayla's eyes widened. "There, where?" He met her gaze again. His voice was sharp now, almost cold. "I was your handler. I commanded you." The tunnel seemed to grow colder. Kayla's breath stopped. She stepped back slowly. "You commanded me?" "Yes." His face was hard. "You were the weapon. I was the one who gave the orders." Her chest burned. Anger and fear flooded her veins. "So you didn't save me? You own me." The man shook his head quickly. "No, not anymore. I bought you back because I couldn't let them destroy you. I want to free you, Kayla. Free me." Her voice rose, sharp with pain. "You used me before. How do I know you're not using me again?" Silence. The only sound was dripping water. The man's eyes held both regret and something harder, determination. "Because you're the only one left who can fight them. Without you, humanity will fall." Kayla laughed bitterly, though tears ran down her face. "So it's not about me. It's about your war." He stepped closer. It was always about survival. "You are hope, Kayla." Her fists clenched. She wanted to believe him, but her mind screamed. Images of soldiers shouting orders, of her body moving like a puppet, of destruction she could not stop, all commanded by him. Boots echoed suddenly in the tunnel. Authority soldiers had found them. Red lights cut through the dark. The man lifted his weapon. His voice was sharp again. "We don't have time. You must choose now. Fight with me or they will take you." Kayla's chest heaved. Fear, anger, betrayal. All mixed until her legs glowed brighter than ever. The hum rose, a thunder inside her bones. She looked at the soldiers, then at the man. His eyes begged her to trust him, yet behind them she saw the shadow of the handler he once was. Her heart broke. She shouted, "You used me once. Never again." Her eyes glowed red as power surged through her. The tunnel walls shook. Soldiers staggered back in shock. The man raised a hand. "Kayla, stop. You'll bring the whole place down." But Kayla stepped forward, her fists clenched, her voice shaking with fury. "I am not your weapon. I am not their asset. I am Kayla." The soldiers opened fire. Bullets sparked against her glowing legs. She didn't fall. She didn't break. She roared as energy burst from her body, blasting the tunnel with light. When the dust settled, silence filled the underground. Smoke curled around broken walls. Soldiers lay scattered, their weapons destroyed. Kayla stood in the center, her body trembling, her eyes still glowing faint red. The man lowered his weapon slowly, staring at her with awe and fear. Kayla looked back at him, her voice cold. If you want me to fight, I will. But not for you, not for them. Only for me. Then she turned, walking deeper into the tunnel, her glowing steps echoing in the dark, and for the first time, the man realized he had not rescued Kayla. He had awakened something he could no longer control. The tunnel shook with the echo of her last strike. Smoke curled through the broken air, walls cracked, soldiers lay silent in the rubble. Kayla stood in the middle, her body glowing faint red, her chest rising and falling like thunder. The man stared at her. His face was pale, his weapon lowered. "Kayla," he said quietly, "you're stronger than I imagined." She turned her head toward him, her eyes still burning. Stronger. Or more dangerous. He didn't answer. His silence told her everything. Kayla walked deeper into the tunnel, her silver legs glowing brighter with each step. Every part of her body hummed with new power, but inside her heart was heavy. Power could protect, power could destroy. Which would she choose? They reached the surface again. The city stretched out before them like a beast of fire and light. Towers rose into the clouds, drones circled the skies, and far in the distance Kayla saw them. Whole armies marching. The authority was ready for war. The man stood beside her, his jaw tight. "They know you've awakened. They will not stop until you are back in their hands or destroyed." Kayla's hands clenched. "Why me? Why always me?" "Because you're the weapon they fear most," he said. Then softer, "And because you're the only one who can break them." His words cut deep. She wanted to believe she was more than a weapon, more than a tool, but everywhere she looked, all she saw was fire and control. Was there truly a path for her outside of war? Suddenly a voice boomed across the city. It came from the sky, from massive drones with loudspeakers. "Kayla, return and you will be spared. Resist and millions will fall because of you." Her chest tightened. The words were sharp, cruel. They blamed her for everything, even before she chose. The man gritted his teeth. "They lie. Don't listen." But Kayla's mind was breaking apart. Memories returned faster now. She saw her hands tearing through machines, her fists destroying cities, soldiers screaming as she obeyed commands she did not choose. She saw herself killing. For them. For him. Her voice shook. "What if they're right? What if I bring only death?" The man stepped closer. His eyes searched hers. "Then this time you choose how to use your power. You are not theirs anymore, not mine. Not anyone's, you're Kayla." Her heart ached. Could it be that simple? Could she really choose? The ground shook. Authority tanks rolled into the streets. More hunter drones filled the sky. Red lights covered the horizon. The city was preparing to crush her under its weight. The man raised his weapon again. "They're here, Kayla. What will you do?" Kayla closed her eyes. For a long moment, the world fell silent inside her mind. She saw the junkyard where she had been thrown away. She saw herself weak, broken, forgotten. She heard her own whisper, "I am not junk." She opened her eyes again. They no longer glowed red. They glowed white, bright, and steady like a star. Her voice was calm, strong. "I will fight, but not as their weapon, not as yours, as mine." The man let out a breath, half relief, half fear. Then humanity might have hope after all. The soldiers charged. The drones descended. Bullets screamed. Missiles burned the sky. Kayla stepped forward. The ground cracked under her glowing legs. She raised her arms and energy surged like lightning. The air itself seemed to bend around her. She leapt into the fight. Bullets struck her, but her body did not break. Her fists cut through steel like paper. Every strike sent soldiers flying. Every jump shattered drones from the sky. The city became a storm of light and fire around her. But for the first time, she was not killing because someone commanded her. She was not fighting because she was an asset. She was fighting because she chose to. Her voice rose through the chaos. "I am Kayla. I am not your weapon." The authority forces fell back, their machines breaking under her storm. Hours later, silence returned. Smoke covered the streets. Soldiers had fled. Drones lay broken across rooftops. The city was scarred but free, for now. Kayla stood at the center, her body still glowing faintly, her chest heavy with exhaustion. The man limped toward her, his weapon broken, his eyes wide. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved us." Kayla looked at him, her voice steady. "No, I saved myself." She turned away. The city stretched endless before her, dangerous and unknown. She did not know what tomorrow would bring. More battles, more enemies, Maybe, but she was no longer scrap in a junkyard. She was no longer an asset. She was Kayla. And for the first time she walked into the future not as a weapon, not as property, but as a human who had chosen her own path.